Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're gonna talk about Phalaenopsis orchids because it is their season. So let's explore how to have beautiful Phalaenopsis blooms for months and months non-stop. These plants, they are capable of blooming for you and actually warm your house, your flat with beautiful flowers for at least 3 months non-stop. How can you obtain beautiful flowers that will last for a long time as well? If that's something you'd like to see in this channel, stay here with me and let's start. First of all, where we will place our orchids. When I'm talking about location, I am mentioning specifically here light. Every plant to be able to keep growing, photosynthesize, pushing out flowers needs light. That's the basic of a plant's surviving. That's basic when you're talking about growing our plants. So with orchids, no different, and with Phalaenopsis is the same thing. We need to actually think about which light these plants would like to receive. They are very adaptable. In terms of light, they like bright, indirect sunlight. If you have a windowsill, that we have some curtains that will actually be able to filter the light, perfect, they will love it. If you have a coffee table that will receive filtered sunlight, they will also love it. If you want to have one of these in your office space and you do have some bright indirect sunlight in your desk, these plants will love as well. Also, if you don't have a bright space in your house where you can place these plants, like a windowsill, you can also buy some growing lights if you want to invest a little bit more, if you want to spend a little bit more with a plant, and they can easily grow under growing lights as well. They will find it perfect. They will be able to keep pushing leaves, roots, and actually growing more and more, and healthier these plants are, as you probably can imagine it, we're gonna have more blooms. So that's the tip number one. Also, be very careful with light. Don't place it in a windowsill that receive harsh midday sunlight because you can burn the leaves of your orchid. Also, don't keep them in a dark room. It will not work out and they will not be happy while they are growing. So, tip number one. Now, let's go to tip number two. So, tip number two is about watering. These plants, they need the water to keep growing and pushing out roots and new growths, but we have to be careful with overwatering or watering too little. When we are actually acquiring a new plant from the supermarket or just receive a new plant, new Phalaenopsis, how do I know if I have to water my plant? It's pretty easy. You just remove it from the pot and you'll notice that the roots, they will be grayish. When this happens, it means that the roots need some water, need some hydration. When the roots are green, which means is that your plant, they are well watered and well hydrated. So, when you are watering your plant, specifically if you're a beginner, you can soak these plants for 15 minutes, fill the outer pot, keep it there, then remove the water and let your plant be in your shelving for maybe a week, maybe 10 days. Just keep observing the roots of your orchid. If they are gray, it's time for you to water them. Another thing is be careful when you water them from above because you can have water trapped among the leaves and the crown of your orchid, and you can have issues of crown rot and stem rot, which can kill your plant. Also, if you keep your plant soggy all the time, you can have cases of root rot as well, and you can end up losing the roots of your orchid and affecting the health of your orchid. So it's really, really important that you offer water, but let your plant dry between watering. It will definitely help with the health of your Phalaenopsis orchid. Next tip, it's about airflow, air circulation. These plants here, they are epiphyte, which means that they grow on top of trees, tree trunks. And thinking about it, we need to remember that they need air circulating around their root system to be able to keep growing. So when I'm potting these plants up, we have to take into consideration the mix that we are using choose a mix that will offer air circulation around the roots, not only humidity. For this reason, we don't pot them in soil. We usually use other types of mix, including bark and sphagnum moss, that will help to keep the roots hydrated, but not only to have some air circulating around the roots as well, because they will enjoy it. Something else that we can do is to have pots with ventilation holes, ventilation slits, that will help more air circulate around the root system. These plants, they are very adaptable, as I mentioned in the beginning, so they need their humidity, they enjoy a high humidity around them, but they will survive and they will keep growing super well, even if you don't have a humidifier. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is that to look into the root system, check when it's gray and offer some water, so they will be able to be hydrated and keep growing. And also always remember to have some air circulation around the root system. Why you can do that with the right mix and maybe some ventilations in your pot as well. So, talking about it, let's go to the next topic, that is fertilizer. These plants, they need some nutrients to keep growing and performing super well, pushing out new roots, new leaves, and even flower spikes. And for us to have beautiful flowers that will last for a long time, we need to feed our plants. So how can I feed my Phalaenopsis orchid? It's very easy. If you go to garden centers, flower shops, you will definitely find orchid fertilizer in these shops. It's very important that you buy one of these. Check the amount, the instructions on the label, what's telling you about how much fertilizer you should add to your potting mix. And remember to feed accordingly. All year round, you can definitely reduce the amount of fertilizer that you give when it's winter, when it's autumn, and slowly increase again the amount when it's spring and our plants are a little bit more active. But remember to fertilize your orchids because it helps them to be able to keep sustaining all of the structures that they have. So the next tip that I have in here, it's about temperature. The parents of these plants, they come from tropical countries, which means that they enjoy the warm temperature during the day, and some of these, they also like a slight cool down in temperature when it's night time. In reality, what I can tell you is that these plants, they love intermediate temperature. So if you have intermediate temperature inside your home or inside your flat, these plants, they will love it. They will do super well. However, if it's too hot, you might have to offer more water, you have to hydrate them a little bit more often. And if it is too cold, like coming to very close to 0 degrees or below 10 degrees Celsius, these plants will show signs that they are stressed. They hate frozen temperatures. They are not adapted to that. They don't experience that in the region where they grow. So for this reason, if it's winter, don't place your Phalaenopsis outside. And if you have drastic change in temperature, you can have bud blasting and you can lose flowers as well. The flowers will not last as long. So the secret here is to keep some sort of intermediate temperature all year round. And it's very important to have a slight drop in temperature between autumn and winter, so these plants will be able to push out flower spikes. But apart from that, and have a little bit of change that they can understand the seasons, we have to keep in mind that these plants, they are plants from tropical countries. So very important to just have intermediate temperature. Your plants will love, they will super enjoy it. And remember to keep it growing under growing lights. Offer a cool down temperature when it's winter time, and all should be well and fine. So the next tip here is about the flower spike. When you have flower spikes and your plant open all of its buds, you have two options here. You can cut the flower spike near the base, and then you wait for the new year, and then when it's autumn, your plant will push out for a new flower spike and will bloom and rebloom for you. Or you can actually find a node on the flower spike. Look for this node and you can actually just crop the flower spike above this node, and if you have a slight drop in temperature, this plant will be able to push out secondary spike. It will probably be blooming for you all year round. Some Phalaenopsis are capable of doing it. I prefer to cut the flower spike near the base and wait for the new year, because I think it will push out a brand new flower spikes and it will give me more flowers. Some people enjoy secondary flower spikes as well, so if you just acquired your plant, can definitely try to cut above the node and wait for the secondary flower spike. It won't harm your plant and you're gonna have your Phalaenopsis blooming almost forever. Now, some final tips here, just for you to remember that these plants don't enjoy being moved around too much. As I mentioned, it's ideal to have an intermediate temperature and to have a bright indirect sunlight. If you keep moving the location of your plant and have some drastic change in temperature, it might stress your plant and you might lose your flowers too early. Be aware of vents, heaters, and other drafts in temperature, because this plant will definitely get stressed as well, and you can have buds falling prematurely, losing your flowers prematurely as well. So if you keep these in mind, I'm sure you will not have any issues growing your beautiful Phalaenopsis. And there we are. I am sure if you follow some of these tips, you're going to be able to have beautiful blooms for many months ahead. And these plants, they are capable of keeping pushing out secondary flower spikes, blooming and reblooming for all year round. For this reason, these orchids, they are perfect for beginners because they are not difficult for us to look after. They are capable of bringing so much joy to our homes. And it's definitely one of my favorite orchids. I hope you enjoy Phalaenopsis as well. If you do, let me know down below. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, leave a comment, and also subscribe to my channel. It helps me a lot. And that was everything that I wanted to tell you today. I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.